welcome back to Great Day St. Louis. I think we can all agree that time spent with family is one of the best parts of Thanksgiving and really all of the holidays. However, the most wonderful time of the year can also be one of the most stressful times, especially if specific family members are invited to the holiday gathering. Now, you're probably nodding along saying, yeah, I know a few of them. So how do you prepare for a turkey day with maybe a toxic family member? We are very happy to have Marcus Hurt with us with BJC Behavioral Health here to pass along some tips. Marcus, it's good to see you.
You as well. Thank you for having me.
We're thrilled to have you because holiday stress is something I think a lot of people have felt for years and years and years. It's just being talked about more. So let's jump right in. People who maybe have a toxic family member, what should they be thinking about as they move ahead to their holiday plans?
Okay, well, we all know one family member who is probably not going to be all that exciting to be around. So the first thing we need to remember is that the only person that we have control over for our behaviors is ourselves. So we need to make sure that our expectations for those family members are going to be very realistic. We need to make sure that the expectations that we have for ourselves are also going to be very realistic, because everybody wants to talk about boundaries, but boundaries can be very difficult, and we can't all live in glass bubbles and expect nothing to happen to us. So we need to be prepared to tell ourselves what is and isn't going to be realistic for dealing with those family members, as well as the way that we're going to react to those family members.
It's going to be different for every single family and every single person watching. But if you could boil down some common toxic traits or behaviors that should be big red flags.
Ooh, common. Okay, well, we all know of certain subject matters that probably shouldn't be discussed at the table, so be prepared to maybe try to do your best to skirt around those topics, or ask that maybe we be respectful and kind with each other when we're talking about certain things. A lot of times people will want to make themselves the subject matter, and that's probably not going to be the best thing as well. So trying to keep things surrounding the family, maybe expressing what we're thankful for, keeping it more family-oriented instead of individualistically oriented.
A very good point right there. Let's talk about, okay, we're 3 days out from Thanksgiving. You have invited someone that maybe you don't get along with.
Right.
Should you rethink inviting that person, especially the timeline we have now?
We have definitely only a few days left. I think what's very important is to take those expectations that you have and maybe share them with a trusted family member and say, are these things really going to be accessible to us as a family with only a couple of days left? And if so, how do we enforce them? If not, how do we address that family member so that we can make sure that we stay as peaceful as possible during our conversations? And if we need to have that conversation, are we going to be able to have it in a way that's going to be safe? And if not, then you should probably think, maybe it's best that we talk to this person alone, away from the family, give them those expectations, see if they're willing to accept them, and if not, maybe they don't need to be there this year.
What about whatever the concern is? When should you let it ride versus address it?
You know, so much of that is very specific to each family. I don't want anybody to think that you have to let something ride just because they're family, because our safety is very important whenever it comes to being on our own home, especially if you're hosting. Nobody wants their own home to be upset. But if you feel like you can control your own responses and your own behaviors in a way that's going to keep the peace, then maybe it's okay to let it ride and assess yourself for next year.
And I'm so glad that you looped it back to yourself. As you said at the start, the only thing we can control is what we do and
Absolutely.
how we act in certain situations. And I think so often we're quick to say, well, that person did that. That's what they're doing. Well, you have an option in how you react to it too.
Absolutely. We have to be aware of what we are capable of and what other people may or may not be capable of, and we have to really stick to what we are doing and not focus on others.
And then are you accepting new clients? Because I just got a lot out of this. Anyone else?
BJC Behavioral Health is always accepting new clients.
Okay, perfect, because I think your phone's going to start ringing a whole lot. Thank you so much for being here today, and happy Thanksgiving
Happy
to
Thanksgiving.
you and your family. We'll post this segment after the show, firstalertfort.com/greatday. Guys,
I think if you're recording this show, or if you have the ability to rewind, I think Marcus got it done in the first 10 seconds of the interview when Laura said, okay, we've got somebody toxic coming. What do we do? And he goes, okay.
That's right. So true. So true.
But I do think that everybody, if you have a Thanksgiving that you've been to before and things have gotten out of hand, I think we all need to step back before dinner and say, is this my fault? And if it is, can I just, for this thing, can I just hold off? Can I block that part of me from coming out?
I thought that was
goes back to you.
that was a great point that Laura raised about how you have to think about how you're reacting in those situations.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Great tips, guys. Thank you. We'll go in for a 2 o'clock session.